Welcome to the infamous edition of the Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation done through creative storytelling of history's most infamous people. Now, let's meet our guest. Welcome to the podcast. Let's start at the absolute beginning, where the public narrative hasn't yet distorted who you were. When and where were you born, and what was your given name?
I was born on December 21st, 1952, in Crawfordsville, Indiana. My given name at birth was Larry William Eyler.
What was your hometown and home life like as a child?
I grew up in Indiana as the youngest of 4 children. My parents divorced when I was young, and my mother remarried several times. My home life was incredibly chaotic and unstable. I was frequently beaten and physically abused by my various stepfathers. Eventually, things got so difficult that my mother sent me away to live with several other families during my childhood.
Was there a story behind your name or a nickname that stuck with you?
Later on, the media and investigators gave me a couple of nicknames because of where the bodies were found. They called me the Interstate Killer and the Highway Killer because the locations were always close to or accessible by the interstate highway system across the Midwest.
What were you like as a child, and how many years of schooling did you actually attend?
In school, I was known as a troublemaker. I went through most of my regular schooling, but ended up dropping out during my senior year of high school in 1970. I did later manage to earn my GED, and between 1974 and 1978, I had sporadic enrollment in college, though I never actually completed a degree.
What's a decision that changed everything for you that felt small at the time?
It might have seemed like just an escalation of personal troubles, but moving to Terre Haute, Indiana, in August of 1978 shifted my path completely. Within just a day of moving there, I made a choice that resulted in major violence and put me squarely on the radar of law enforcement for the first time.
Let's talk about your early run-ins with the law. Before the world knew your name for your most infamous actions, what was your very first arrest or interaction with law enforcement, and what were the consequences?
My first major adult arrest happened on August 4, 1978, in Terre Haute. I was arrested for stabbing a man named Craig Long. He had to be hospitalized, but he survived the attack, and that was my first official record for extreme violence.
At what moment did you realize your name would never be forgotten?
The media frenzy really broke nationally around September and October of 1983. Multiple task forces from Indiana and Illinois were meeting because more than 10 bodies had been found across state lines. When I was pulled over and arrested during a traffic stop in Lowell, Indiana on September 30th, 1983, and they found rope, handcuffs, and a knife, the press completely took off with the story of the Highway Killer.
Did fame make you more dangerous, or did it simply expose who you already were?
The notoriety didn't change my underlying compulsions, but a massive twist in the legal system made things far worse. Even though they tied my boots and tires to a murder scene in Lake Forest, Illinois, a judge ruled in February 1984 that my constitutional rights were violated during that Lowell traffic stop. The evidence was suppressed, and I was completely freed from jail. Once I was let go, I just went right back to doing exactly what I had been doing before, escalating until my final arrest.
Who do you believe betrayed you first? A person, society, or your own instincts?
My own lover was actually the one who first gave my name to the Indiana State Police Task Force back in June of 1983, which put me directly on their radar. Later on, when everything came apart, I confessed to my attorney that an accomplice had actually helped me commit 4 of the killings. But in the end, the full weight of the legal system fell on me.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you, and what part of your story has been exaggerated the most?
There were always wild rumors and speculations by the media regarding the exact number of victims, with some people guessing anywhere from 24 up to 50. The truth was finally solidified when I gave a detailed, definitive list to my attorney before the end.
What did the public never understand about the pressure you were under at the time?
The public just saw a monster, but I was living a deeply fragmented double life. I was working as a house painter and a liquor store clerk, splitting my time between Greencastle, Indiana, and Chicago, Illinois, where I actually shared a living space with my lover, as well as my lover's wife and children. Managing those separate worlds while dealing with my severe inner turmoil was a constant pressure.
Did you have any known rivalries that defined your career?
My main adversaries were the combined task forces of the Indiana State Police and the Illinois authorities, along with a crime journalist named Jera Lind Kolarik. She was the first one to notice my multi-state hunting pattern and alerted the Lake County Sheriff, which ultimately drove the investigation right to my door.
When the law finally closed in, how exactly were you brought to justice? Walk me through the final arrest, the charges that ultimately stuck, and the legal outcome of your trials.
The end came on August 21st, 1984, when the police found the body of Daniel Bridges in a dumpster right near my Chicago apartment. I was arrested and formally charged the next day. The trial began in June of 1986, and on October 3rd of that year, I was convicted of his murder and sentenced to death. Later on, in December 1990, I also pleaded guilty to the 1982 murder of Stephen Egan, receiving a concurrent 60-year sentence.
When, where, and how did you pass away?
I passed away on March 6, 1994, while I was sitting on death row in Illinois. I died at the age of 41 due to complications from AIDS.
What past regrets did you carry with you to the end? If you could erase one decision from your life, would you? Or was it necessary to become who you were?
Before I passed away, I spent 3 years confessing the absolute truth to my attorney, Kathleen Zellner. I gave her a handwritten letter and a full list of 21 young men I had murdered across Illinois and Indiana, luring them with drugs, money, and alcohol. I authorized her to release that confession after my death so that the families of my victims could finally have some closure and answers about what happened to their sons.
Larry, do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
I just want people to know that the confessions I left behind were the real truth. I spent years hidden behind lies, but before the end, I wanted to make sure those families finally got the answers they deserved.
And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, do better with the life you have been given and choose to do good in this life. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.